Headline news at 1. Coming up in this bulletin, Parliament commences the first meeting of the 8th session today, and later, Sky News continues to project tourist destinations in the western region, with Fort Metal Cross as our destination of focus. My name is Rosalind Jan. For the next 30 minutes, be our guest as we bring you details of these stories and more. My name is Rosalind Jang. The news is also streaming live on our various social media platforms. Now to the details of our stories. Parliament today commenced its first meeting of the 8th session, where a total of 82 bills are expected to be presented to the House, including the Consumer Protection Bill 2023. The House is also set to implement its new standing order effective today. This would require heads of state of state institutions to appear before Parliament to answer questions on matters relating to their agencies, as against the old standing orders that would allow ministers of state to answer questions on behalf of the state institutions. The first Deputy Minority Whip in Parliament, Ahmed Ibrahim, has been speaking to journalists on the new standing orders.
Like the Shrag Boss, NCC, independent constitutional bodies like the Electoral Commission, like the Governor of Bank of Ghana, like the Shrag Boss, NCC, Auditor General, they are going to be questioned just as we question ministers on the floor. And the mode of answering questions on the floor has also been provided in the new standing orders. Previously, if you wanted to invite Electoral Commission, he has no audience on the floor. If the Common Fund Administrator needed to come, unless the discussion were led by the Minister for Local Government, this time it's not going to be the same. This time, the local government, this assembly common fund minister can come. He can be interrogated by a committee of the whole, and he will be asked questions, and he will respond to the questions. And the mode of answering the questions all have been catered for in the standing order. So clearly, I think it's a good thing to start with. And this being an election year, if you say the Electoral Commission should go to IPAC and the Electoral Commission doesn't want to go to IPAC, Ghanaians are agitating to get answers. Members of Parliament on the floor of Parliament can ask those questions. So if you, the media, you have questions like when is the Electoral Commission going to provide their election calendar for 2024? This is being debated outside. The Electoral Commission can be quiet, say, well, I'm an independent constitutional body. Nobody can control me. You, the media person, can write the question and give it to me as a member of Parliament. Then I'll put it on parliamentary letter, send it to the Electoral Commission. That come and answer when you are going to provide the election calendar. Ghanaians want to know. The process and procedure has been provided for as how the Electoral Commission can answer those questions on the floor of Parliament.
Mr. Ahmed Ibrahim is the first Deputy Minority Whip in Parliament. The Minister of State at the Ministry of Local Government, Decentralization and Rural Development, Obi Amwa, has dismissed assertions that President Akufo-Addo sacked some 24 municipal and district chief executives because they do not support Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. The president, in a circular over the weekend, dismissed 24 MMDCs. The reason for the action is still not known. It is, however, alleged that the dismissed MMDCs did not campaign for Dr. Bawumia during the flag bearer race. Obi Amwa, in an interview, says these claims are baseless.
Otherwise, you stretch it and say that there are some places where probably the MCs or MMDCs did not campaign for and rely on about the other. So I don't think that should be the case. As to whether they have problems with the members of Parliament, it depends on the president's discretion as to whether such a person is supposed to or let somebody else take over.
Meanwhile, speaking on the Jolly Breakfast show this morning, Dr. Richard Fiadomo, Director, Chamber of Local Governance, says if the MMDCs were not sacked for non-performance, then the only reason will be political.
So what is the reason? If I'm performing well at the assembly, not looking with the first, no apamia, not enough for performance, then the other reason can only be political. And you know, the minister cannot come to the maintain the Kazassem, and I respect him for that. I want to tell you, I can't tell you, what can you? I want to tell you, but said the young colleague and you know, say a performance because local government for development. It's in a say development because not say development because not only chief executive now. Now we can say it's not because of performance there. It can only be political, and that is it. Whether they say it or they don't say it. It is our opinion against this, but
away from that, the Skyy News team is still on the mission to make the Western region an all-year-round tourist destination location in Ghana. The Skyy News team is bringing into the limelight some not-so-known tourist sites in the region. Today, we focus on Fort Metal Cross, built in 1692 by the British in Dixcove in the Ahanta West municipality of the Western region. There is more in this following report.
Fort Metal Cross, originally Fort Dixcove, is a military structure located on a promontory at the fishing community of Infuma in Dixcove in the Western region of Ghana. Because of its history in the Atlantic slave trade and its testimony to European-African trade, the fort was included as one of the forts and castles of Volta, Greater Accra, Central and Western regions that became a World Heritage Site in 1979. Fort Metal Cross was besieged twice in 1712 by John Kenny, a local ally of the Prussians, but the fort was defended successfully. The fort was transferred to the Dutch as part of a large trade of forts between the Britain and the Netherlands in 1868 under the Anglo-Dutch Gold Coast Treaty. It was renamed Fort Metal Cruise. 4 years later, however, on 6 April 1872, the fort was, with the entire Dutch Gold Coast, again transferred to the United Kingdom as per the Gold Coast Treaty of 1871. The Dutch name stuck, however, translated as Fort Metal Cross. It was known as the fake mint of the Gold Coast by Arthur Bosman because of the gold that was mined was mostly impure. This led to the promise of gold never happened. The fort was a service station for the supply of timber from the nearby forests and for repairing ships. It was also used as a slave prison during the slave trade. The British and the Dutch had a fort exchange agreement in 1867 and the Dutch became the owners of the fort. The Dutch later sold their fort to the British. Now here is my tour guide who gave me a brief history of the fort when the Skyy News team visited Fort Metal Cross in Dixcove.
Slave trade. Yeah, the Africans bringing their children for males and others. Can you explain that? So when you are bringing your child, color like I or you, so you need 3 houses here to keep the slave. You are changing with the hat or melon, gunpowder, smoke pipe. So when they give you the melon, you are saying your child, Kofi, yes, Dad, wait me, I'm coming. That is going. So you need 3 houses here to keep the slave. 2 rooms for men and 1 room for female. But any 1 room take 25 people. So capacity, you need 75 slaves in here. They are stay here for 3 months. Every 3 months, the ship can collect everything from here to check in Cape Coast. Because Almina Castle is a first castle in Ghana, but you use the Cape Coast for the headquarters. So the end of 3 months, when the ship come in, to put the metal cross inside the fire, heat, and blind the slave. That this fort have the name Fort Metal Cross. By the time when the British came here, the land is a cemetery with the village to bury so many people. So the chief and the members to show the another land with the British, but he said he liked the cemetery land. Why? Because that time Ghanaians have no gold, but he don't know how to use the gold. Just of chain, wedge, rent. Somebody packing the gold, go like this inside the house. So when he's dead, everybody ran away. That's going to. So he put all in the graveyard. That the British said he liked the cemetery land. So when the chief and the members give the land to the British, he has said thank you and go back to prepare. In that time, nobody will be student. So when the British going back, maybe he give the time or date to the chief and the members. Can I understand? So when the British go, he still continue with the cemetery. So after 1.5 years, the British will come in. But the chief, he died before 1.5 years coming. He buried in this land. So when the British came, the second chief showed the place to bury the first chief, to cover all graveyard here and rest the chief's side. After to building the fort, the chief graveyard inside with the fort. But maybe he had finished the work on yesterday, but today morning, when he be wake up, somewhere she fall down. She don't understand. So the British go to the Juju house, and the Juju tell them they can do the sacrifice here.
What this man is actually trying to say is that when this fort was being built, whenever they build it, some parts collapses. Whenever they build it, some parts collapses. So the whites went to see one of the chief priests to ask questions on why the fort keeps collapsing whenever they build it, and the chief priest told them that they need to sacrifice a human being before the fort can stand or can be built. So the whites went to the chief's palace to get a 16-year-old virgin girl, which they put on some gold ornaments, brought here and buried that 16-year-old girl alive over here before the fort was able to be built. So this is what he is trying to say.
Reporting for Sky News from this Cove, I am Alex Tego.
That was our feature on Fort Metal Cross, built in 1692 by the British in Dix Cove. Stay tuned to Sky News as we bring you more features on the various forts and castles and tourism destination sites here in the Western region. Away from that, the Ghana Meteorological Agency is advising Ghanaians to consider using nose masks following a recent surge in air pollution in the country. The Ghana Meteorological Agency says Ghana's airspace is polluted, and over the weekend, Ghana was ranked as the most polluted country by the Air Quality Index. Felicity Ahianyo, the head of the Central Analysis and Forecasting Unit of the Ghana Meteorological Agency, says people must protect themselves by using the nose masks.
And you can even see the dust circling on our things as the cars and the buildings and any other thing. So it becomes very, very visible to us. So all this causes it. Now the dust itself, it says it's minute and it's coming from bare floor. Definitely we will have some pathogens or some parasites or some disease-causing agents that may also be dangerous to our health.
She also advised parents and teachers on how to ensure that their children are protected.
Advise to parents and caregivers and teachers that it will be good to keep the children indoors as much as possible. If they need to come out, so we would encourage them to put on face masks. It's also very humid at the moment, and so we find that a lot of children are coming down with respiratory tract infections.
Felicity Ahianyo is the head of Central Analysis and Forecasting Unit of the Ghana Meteorological Agency. You are still listening to Sky Headline News at 1. After this break, the news continues. Please stay with us.
Boys are lined up looking for an opening. They are charging forward from our 3. Kuku has his eye on the cashier, but Young gets there first. He taps and he scores.
Win your ticket to glory with the ABSA Card Assist. Tap to pay with your ABSA debit or credit card and you could win an unforgettable Premier League experience in the UK or any of over 50 consolation prizes such as home appliances and shopping vouchers. It's time to tap your way to the Premier League with your ABSA card. ABSA, the official banking partner of the Premier League. Terms and conditions apply.
Enjoy with 2 delicious chicken pieces, large chips, near Fadia Danielson Piwoso, Yetewa, free 200 ml Coke at Cajon, and KFC Streetwise 2. Wow! KFC Streetwise 2, perfect mouth. Now you demand what a cool 49 Ghana cities. I'm missing out the crowd. Over here available at KFC Restaurant TV. Send the high, echo a WhatsApp number 0551 711711. Kaihunu said, terms and conditions, and also count. KFC, a finger licking good.
This is Skyy headline news at 1. Let's do some more stories now. And former Finance Minister Seth Tekpe has advised the government against being solely reliant on temporary revenue measures as a core part of its income strategy. He believes the government has increasingly depended on temporary levies initially introduced as a short-term solution during crisis. Mr. Tekpe says this reliance on temporary revenue solutions has overburdened the tax net and placed undue strain on the existing tax infrastructure.
Temporary import duty. Immediately after the IMF program, they are dropped. Now, apart from the import duty, which was substituted and by another name, temporary import duty, the fiscal stabilization has always just been renamed. That means that since they were imposed for the 2015 program, they've not been removed, so they've become permanent. And that is why when COVID came, we imposed a COVID levy. And COVID levy has also come to stay. So we have also distorted another purpose of bringing in levies.
He also attributed the recent improvement in Ghana's macroeconomic fundamentals to the Bank of Ghana's zero financing of the government budget. He believes this has been the major loophole in the nation's budget for several decades and needs to be resolved. Mr. Tekpe says the economy is far from recovered and thus wants the government to be efficient in spending to keep the fiscal economy stable.
Because of inflation is a high because it costs 50% for the first time in the history of Olympics. You have to go as far back as probably the 70s to see such a performance. We also know that such high was reached because of the central bank deficit financing. So the fact that the central bank has stopped or has been stopped from deficit financing to move towards zero with the financing of the budget. Obviously, will bring some discipline to the fiscal, which was being financed.
Seth Tekpe is a former finance minister. The Ghana Health Service, in an effort to reduce the prevalence of the human papillomavirus among women in Ghana, will roll out a vaccination campaign by the end of the year, targeting pre-adolescents aged 9 to 14. This nationwide vaccination aims to immunize adolescents before entering into sexual activity, given the alarming rate of cervical cancer. Programs Manager for the expanded program on immunization at the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Kwame Amponsa Achiano, emphasizes the necessity of the 2-dose vaccine for each child, saying that because they had already done a pilot which was to learn lessons, they are going to roll out a nationwide vaccination, and their focus is usually on young people before they start their sexual debut. He says they hope that by the end of the year they should have started with the vaccination. According to the ICOIARC Information Center on HPV and cancer, Ghana has a population of 10.6 million women aged 15 years and older who are at risk of developing cervical cancer. Current estimates indicate that every year, 2,797 women are diagnosed with cervical cancer and 1,699 die from the disease. Cervical cancer ranks as the second most frequent cancer among women in Ghana and the second most frequent cancer among women between 15 and 44 years of age. Data is not yet available on the HPV burden in the general population of Ghana. However, in West Africa, the region Ghana belongs to, about 4.3% of women in the general population are estimated to harbor cervical HPV 16 and 18 infection at a given time. The International Monetary Fund (IMF) has assured Ghana of support to prevent debt restructuring, with external creditors from dragging as a result of the push for equal terms by the creditors. Ghana is currently working on reaching a final deal with bilateral and commercial creditors on the debt restructuring. There are, however, fears that the push for equal terms for all categories of creditors could drag the process and hurt the country's program and economy. Abebi Selassie, the Director of African Department at the IMF, has been speaking at a media engagement in Washington, D.C.
Speed at which debt has been reprofiled under the common framework, slower than as it is, has been quite good. And I think from one case to the other, we've seen an acceleration in terms of the effectiveness of the common framework. I think a really important initiative in this regard that we have taken as an institution is this Global Sovereign Debt Roundtable, which has been a forum where many of the intricate issues that have been coming up in individual country cases can be discussed. Issues include compatibility of treatment, and I think how we can make progress is that making sure that more cross-cutting issues like compatibility of treatment do not become a blockage to individual countries' reprofiling cases. So we're hopeful that the GSDR can make progress in some of the issues that have been raised.
Abebi Selassie is the Director of the African Department at the International Monetary Fund. Let's do some international news now, and Senegal's parliament has voted to delay the West African nation's presidential election until December 15 in a chaotic voting process that took place after opposition lawmakers were forcefully removed from the chambers as they debated President Macky Sall's earlier decision to delay the crucial election. There's more in this following report.
Senegal's parliament on Monday voted to hold the country's postponed presidential elections on the 15th of December. The chaotic vote was passed by 105 MPs in the 165-seat assembly after opposition lawmakers were forcibly removed from the chamber. They've described President Macky Sall's unprecedented decision to delay the crucial vote, which was scheduled to take place on the 20th of February, as an institutional coup. Authorities on Monday restricted mobile internet access amid growing protests by opposition supporters against the delay. While outside Parliament, riot police fired tear gas to disperse demonstrators who were burning tyres. Analysts say the crisis is putting one of Africa's most stable democracies to the test at a time when the region is struggling with a recent surge in coups.
Well, that's how we end today's edition of Sky Headline News at 1. For more news, kindly log on to skypowerfm.com. My name is Rosalind Jan. Good afternoon.